Welcome to the Wrestling Maniac Podcast with your host, yours truly, Marvelous Mike, the guru of pro wrestling. This is episode 1, April 27, 2017. In this episode, we will review Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, telling all of you disciples how the guru of pro wrestling would book the show better and his thoughts and opinions on the news that's going around the ring. Next, we will discuss how Brawnomania and Jinder Mahal with news and notes and just plain freaking opinions about pro wrestling the way you like it. Welcome again to this inaugural episode of the Wrestling Maniac. Hope each of you find this exhilarating, funny, and informative about pro wrestling. Let's get to it. First, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. You know, Monday Night Raw is 3 hours long, as all of us know, and it's pretty exhausting to any fan that watches the show. It's been since WrestleMania, pretty much on a high note, the Raws that we've been getting. Last week, we got Braun Strowman and The Big Show in a ring collapsing main event on Monday Night Raw, and it was great. It was great. The match was good. The competitors was good. Even though they were two huge men, they gave us a show, and it was 2 thumbs up from yours truly. But this week was a little bit of a downer, and you're going to get that when you produce 3 hours worth of television. We all can bitch and complain about how Raw sucked. Well, if we tried to put on a 3-hour program every week, of course we would try to give the fans the best possible program that they could have. But we have to understand, this week not only are the people of Raw having to produce Monday Night Raw, but they're also having to put on a pay-per-view this Sunday. So let's cut them a little bit of slack. They did not their best job. The stories was a little bit, it wasn't there all the way. The flow of the show, it was not really there all the way. But it still was a go-home show to excite the fans of what's coming up to this pay-per-view at Payback. So let's get to the show. Raw, the opening, we have Jericho, The Miz, and Ambrose all confronting each other in the ring. And it was a little bit back and forth, a little bit silly. They were all setting up their different programs that they have. We have the Jericho, we have the Miz's, the Jericho, we have the Miz's highlight reel, we have the Ambrose Insane Asylum, and all of these different things and different sets being switched out of the ring as we was going along. But what this was setting up is the main event of the evening, Jericho and Ambrose versus The Miz and a mystery partner that he had to choose one of the WWE superstars to try to help him get the victory on Monday Night Raw. The funniest thing about the first segment was a jacket that looked like Ambrose had got straight from the Goodwill store or out of the dumpster, and he had taped Christmas lights on it, and he had given this to Jericho as a peace offering. That was kind of funny, you have to admit. That was kind of hilarious. But as the show went on, and so we have this. It is, first I want to say this, it's good to see that Raw is featuring The Miz. I was afraid, and I hope that it doesn't happen, that The Miz was just going to be lost into the shuffle. But The Miz is golden. He puts people in the seats. He puts He makes people exciting. He's a great heel. People genuinely boo him. He has the best pure heel heat on Monday Night Raw. The show went on, and there were several segments of backstage. There was a lot of backstage, and it really took them a long time to get to any wrestling matches that was in the ring. And this was my one thing that I do not like about Raw is that they spend way too much time talking and not enough time wrestling. We have all of these talents that are there in the WWE on the Raw roster, and they're underutilized, and they aren't given any spotlight at all. The only ones that was given any spotlight was, again, Kurt Hawkins coming out, and to answer his challenge was Apollo Crews. It was good to see Apollo Crews finally get a chance to wrestle. He picked up a win, and Titus O'Neil come down. But man, there needs to be a little bit more of this. I'd love to see them trying to get Curtis Axel involved in something here, and it would really make sense. To be honestly, I wish there was a lower mid-card title like the TV title that could give these guys a spotlight, to give them something to where we feel like we want to tune in and emphasize less on talking and more about the in-ring action. One of the notable two notable backstage segments was with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle is golden as the manager of Raw. He is hilarious. Then we had the club, and we had Samoa Joe. As I said, they were ready to pound some nerds. I gave them the term, and I come up with the term that they are the Nerd Busters, which I think they need to use. But this led to a 6-man tag match with Seth Rollins, Big Cass, and Enzo. Enzo was coming out. He got kayfabed injured. He was out, so they needed a new partner, and boom, there was Finn Balor. Call a partner, as Finn Balor tweeted, call for a tag partner. There is Finn Balor to save the day. Rollins went over Anderson with a knee finish shot, clearly stolen from Kenny Omega, which Kenny Omega tweeted about. You need to check out Kenny Omega's tweet. It was about some of his moves being stolen in the WWE, which is pretty entertaining. I mean, but maybe we can get some personality with Rollins. I don't know about this match, and we'll get back when we have a preview of the pay-per-view of Payback, which I'll look for Samoa Joe to get over. Samoa Joe needs to go over Seth Rollins here. I hope that's the way they go. The women's segment, there was a segment between Dana Brooke and Emelina. It was kind of strange and weird. We'll move on from that. Then a notable was Alexa Bliss Bayley feud continuing, and in the mix with Sasha Banks, of course, interfered, and we can see some real heat maybe between Bliss and Banks, which adds a little bit of intrigue and storyline to the women's division. Next, we're going to get to the main event, what was announced for the show. Of what we said was the main event, been announced for the show, was a dumpster match between Braun Strowman and Kalisto. Kalisto ended up winning by a fluke when Strowman stumbled into the dumpster. Strowman wasn't very happy over this, and Strowman was beat down Kalisto afterward, strapping the top of the dumpster down, rolling it off a 3-foot stage, which really, I mean, it was a little bit cheesy to say the least, because it reminded me of the dumpster match between Cactus Jack and Chainsaw, Terry Funk, and the New Age Outlaws. it was a far cry from this. They tried to do something to go back to the Attitude Era, but come on, man. I mean, if you're gonna give something like a shout out there to somebody, I mean, come on, creative. Come on, have a little bit more drama. Have a little bit more that's into this match. It's your dumpster match. This match should have ended the show. I mean, clearly people want to say that the WWE title is not even being defended against Bray Wyatt in this House of Horrors, whatever that is. Um, People are confused and they're giving too much away about the House of Horrors match, really, and not really saying anything at all about it. It's really confusing, but this match should have ended the show. Braun should have done something here that was a little bit dramatic, to make him look a little bit stronger, but they did the best they could with what they had. Next, we had Matt Hardy and Sheamus versus Sheamus. Matt Hardy went over, still entertained by the Hardys. People say they want to see the broken gimmick, but there's some legal issues there that they're still working out. But we have to remember also that the WWE has to bring the broken gimmick to the WWE universe. There has to even be a storyline to get the Hardys broken, because as what the WWE terms, what's happened outside of WWE really doesn't matter. They have to bring the storyline into their universal interpretation of it, and to bring forth broken Matt Hardy. We don't know where this is leading. Where it was a little good build between the Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus. Let the audience a little bit in suspense. Well, is the Hardys going to turn heel? Is Cesaro and Sheamus going to turn heel? What's going to happen here? It was a little bit of intrigue, and it was done pretty good job there on that one. Now the main event, Jericho, Ambrose, The Miz. There was a nice spot there at the beginning when The Miz's partner didn't come out with him, for Angle to come out and to say that no, Miz, now you have to compete in a handicap match, and Miz decisively got his ass handed to him by Jericho and Ambrose. And all of a sudden, in the middle of that, Bray Wyatt appears, as he always does. In essence, he laid Sister Abigail's on everybody, and that he is the bringer of destruction, I suppose, building towards payback. I wasn't really, to me, they have dropped this story with Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton off. The WrestleMania match was weird. The visual effects that it had was okay. It was not given enough time to put on a good match at Payback. Both of the guys do a good job in the ring, and I'll get to that here in a minute with my thoughts. So my thoughts on the Go Home show is that it was a 4 out of 10. There was no really flow to the show. There's confusion about really what the House of Horrors match is, or what it is not. And with Reigns being out with injury, it is a little confusing that he is not there for the Go Home show. So Reigns and Strowman, there's been speculation that Strowman's going to go over Reigns. Reigns is not going to get pinned, but he's still going to go over Reigns. I don't know about that. I personally, number one, after WrestleMania, Reigns had a lot of heel heat, delivered a massive, even though it was a few words, good heel promo. and yet they want to remain him. They want to keep him a face, which I understand because of the merchandise sales with the kids and with his followers. Um, but still, what I would do if it was me is they don't think that they can keep Reigns off of a pay-per-view, but I think that one pay-per-view is not going to kill Reigns to miss. What they should have done is the next week is had a little vignette, and I would have had a vignette instead of the Big Show match a week ago. What I would have done is I would have had a vignette of Braun going to the hospital and further inflicting his wrath upon Reigns. I would have had, I would have saved. I'd have had the Kalisto match probably this week. And to end the show, to end Payback, what I would have had is I would have had the Big Show and I would have had Strowman. And I would have given Big Show, because of all of his hard work that he has put in and trying to get ready for some match that he was supposed to have with Shaquille O'Neal, and they wasn't able to come to terms with Shaquille O'Neal, is to give the Big Show that moment to where, because what they did on Monday Night Raw a week ago was worthy of a pay-per-view. It was a good match, and that's what should have been the Payback. And I would have somehow maybe had Reigns just set that one out and then come back for the next pay-per-view and let that be the build for Roman and Strowman for the next pay-per-view. And then at SummerSlam, I would have had Braun and Lesnar go for the title. People don't maybe not agree with that, but I think that would have been a good title match for SummerSlam. Lesnar and Strowman for the title. They might have other plans. They might have other plans with Matt Hardy or Rollins, but it would have been a nice build, and been a nice little build for Strowman. It made him seem really strong. And at SummerSlam, I would have had Lesnar go over Strowman. Strowman doesn't need to win now, and if their plans are for Reigns and for Lesnar at the next WrestleMania, then we could lead into that. That's the way I would do things. Now let's get to Monday night. Let's get to SmackDown. What happened on SmackDown? SmackDown started out on April the 25th. SmackDown started out with Renee Young introducing Shinsuke Nakamura. Me personally, yes, I do mark out for Shinsuke Nakamura, because I think it's one of the most amazing entrances that I have experienced in the WWE. Last experience was like during the Attitude Era in Austin or The Rock. This is awesome. Of course, Ziggler interrupted Shinsuke Nakamura. They went to the artist known as Shinsuke. They're going to build Shinsuke as this rock star personality, which some say that he's not. He's a wrestler, but you know what? It's okay. This is entertainment. And I think that it's good. I think this is a great first feud for Shinsuke Nakamura with Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler is good. He's awesome in the ring. He is a good heel. I really wished again that there was some sort of little mid-card title lower mid-card title that Ziggler had, which would be good, and he would be good at that TV title or something like that. I think that this feud is going to be a good feud between Nakamura and Ziggler. Look forward to the match. Next, we have AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. AJ Styles defeated Baron Corbin, but there was interference by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens got involved, then Sami Zayn come down. It was quite, I'd say it was a little bit entertaining. Of course, AJ Styles, Baron Corbin is good for Baron Corbin being built up by AJ Styles. AJ Styles is a class act. Just does whatever needs to be done. Is awesome in the ring. Is the man. And it's going to be a great feud between him and Kevin Owens for the U.S. Championship. It is going to make the U.S. Championship really an important title. I wish they would do the same with the Intercontinental belt on Raw, which I think the Intercontinental belt needs to be like the third most important title that the WWE has. I would like it to receive the same status almost as what the as Intercontinental Championship in New Japan Pro Wrestling does. It could, and I think they could do that if they put the title somehow and got the title on Roman Reigns to build up Roman Reigns. Next, we had a Beat the Clock tag team tournament. It was a little bit entertaining. People say they don't like this, but I think it's quite entertaining. American Alpha went over the Colognes, and then we had Breezango actually was the one that won their match in the fastest time, and they got the win. It's good to see Breezango get a little bit of a push here after they sort of got buried with John Cena and Nikki Bella with their little skit that they had with them. They have been given this horrible gimmick of the Fashion Police, which both are, these guys are just glad to be, I guess they're glad to be involved in everything here. Rusev made an appearance on SmackDown Live, said that he would not compete in SmackDown unless he received a championship match at Money in the Bank, or he would leave to Bulgaria. Said he didn't really like Daniel Bryan, or Shane McMahon. So he said the only way that he would compete on SmackDown Live is he received a championship match, Money in the Bank. I don't know where exactly they're going with this storyline. We'll just have to wait and see at Money in the Bank and see what leads up to this. We see a no disqualification match between Randy Orton and Eric Rowan. It was actually a pretty entertaining match. There were some spots in there, some tables that got broke. It wasn't that bad of a match. The Randy Orton won, of course, with an RKO. After the match, Orton said that he was going to defeat Bray Wyatt. Then Jinder Mahal came down and did his thing, got the Bollywood boys involved, and they ended up stealing the WWE Championship and drove away in a SUV limousine, driving away with the sunroof holding the title. I'm not really a Jinder Mahal fan. I think he's absolutely horrible in the ring. He doesn't have very many good in-ring skills. His finisher is atrocious. Makes no sense for his personality. A choke slam. He's not big enough to be doing a choke slam. My issues with Jinder Mahal is simply this. It's great that the WWE is giving him an opportunity. It's great that the WWE does have a international, Mahal is actually Canadian, but they do have a person of Indian descent to try to go in and make a presence in India. I would not be surprised at Backlash, and I'm going to repeat this time and time again, as I do on Twitter at Real Guru Wrestle, Real Guru Wrestle on Twitter, Real Guru Wrestle. That's my Twitter handle. You can follow me there. I will repeat this. I would not be surprised if the WWE does not put the title on Jinder Mahal. I'll discuss that a little bit later in the match, later in the review here. We had the other. I went ahead and did the other review of the other Beat the Clock match. Last, what we'll get to is the Women's Championship match between Naomi and Charlotte Flair. It was a decent match between Charlotte Flair and Naomi. The match ended when Natalya and Tamia and Carmella by interfering in the match, beating down both of Naomi and Charlotte Flair. And Charlotte Flair is going to have a little bit of a face run, which I do not understand really, because she is such a good heel, and she has been a heel, but it'll be a little bit of change for her character, give her a little bit more character development in her personality and her in-ring skills. So, in looking at what happened here in these two reviews, I give that SmackDown Live a 6 out of 10. Is 2 hours, as everyone says that has a podcast. 2 hours is just a better show. Okay, this is my thoughts. My thoughts first on the House of Horrors match. We have no clue what this match is going to entail. Everyone is confused about it. Tonight they alluded that part of it's going to be even on SmackDown, Talking Smack. They alluded to part of the match was going to be taped, and part of the match was going to be in the ring. They've really given away too much. They really have this complete disrespect to Bray Wyatt and the work that he's done. And he should have remained on SmackDown Live. I do believe he had a better chance of success there on SmackDown Live. They said it was between him and AJ Styles. Who was going to move over? I didn't think either of them really needed to move over. Raw has plenty of stars. It's saturated now more than it ever has been with stars. We'll see what this House of Horrors match is. Edge and Christian alluded to the fact that when they were feuding with the Hardys, they had sort of a House of Horrors match, and that it was the brainchild of Michael Hayes, that it was sort of like a funhouse type thing. I don't know if they're going to go that direction, or if this still is the creative genius of Michael Hayes in this match, or if they're going to simply go with a little bit darker feel of this match, whether it would be more towards the grudge type. I mean, some of the video vignettes have alluded to that type of feeling in the match. That really goes borderline with the PG rating of the WWE. I know people say, give me more of this, but there's going to be a lot of parents upset if their kids come away with nightmares after a House of Horrors match. That's all I'll say on that. And my thoughts on Jinder Mahal. I do not want to say that I do not want to see someone have the opportunity to be successful in the wrestling business. Jinder Mahal has been in wrestling for a while. Some say that, like Jim Ross alluded to, that he has paid his dues, but I disagree with the fact that you take a enhancement talent and you suddenly that has won no matches over the past 2 years hardly, and you suddenly, I think the last match that Jinder Mahal won is he won one against Heath Slater to get a WWE contract. Um, uh, and you're taking someone that is a enhancement talent, and you're giving them a WWE shot at the championship. I think that it hinders from the natural build of a character. I'm not saying that Jinder Mahal isn't going to be a good heel. He gives some good heel promos. He gives, and it goes down to the anti-American type, uh, discriminatory type, uh, storyline, which it does sell. It does put butts in the seat. It does cause some genuine heat for the character, which I think that Jinder Mahal is capable of. What I've seen is capable of pulling off. But still, I do think that Jinder Mahal should have had a natural progression into this role. They should have built him up at least into a mid card picture where he was successful. The next issue I have with Jinder Mahal is is he does not, though I I'm not a real person that works out or anything like that, but I'm not going to complain if that's his thing. If he is dedicated to being a in-ring performer, and you should be, uh, I mean, everyone should be, but if that's what you're going to do, if you're going to be in the wrestling business, you should take care of yourself, and you should be fit, but you should not look like you're just come off of a steroid binge, which Jinder Mahal looks like he's has. With this, the WWE, I believe in the last 2 days on WrestleZone.com, has announced that via Triple H that there will be a wellness policy now for um, part-time workers, for part-time talent, which this is really a slap on the wrist if you think about it. Um, they have 10 times that they can violate the policy, and then they have uh, punishment, which that's really not nothing. I mean, that's like band-aids on a problem. If the WWE really is serious about making strides against drugs and against people using performance enhancing drugs, then they should adopt the NFL's drug policy, or yeah, maybe not the state athletic. I don't know if the state athletic commission, because they test for a variety of other drugs. Maybe the state athletic commission's policies for drugs. I mean, I think that they need to be tough on drugs, not 10 times a violation. Then you get a slap on the wrist. You need to be strong about this if you're going to make a statement. And the WWE is a publicly traded company. They are the biggest wrestling organization in the world. They are at the top of the food chain. But they also should lead by example. And they should tell indie talent that you can't cut corners and get to the top here in the WWE. They need to send the message to children that our superstars need to play by the rules. And maybe I'm wrong. Several different videos. I think Ryback has come out and said that Jinder Mahal does look like he has. I mean, he's a fitness guy. He said that he does look like that he is on steroids. Uh, I do not know. I do not know. I'm sure Jinder Mahal, the only one that really knows is Jinder Mahal. I mean, we've been through this. Sports fans, real sports fans, has been through this. With baseball, with football, and you can't. And we're skeptic when the athlete or this case sports entertainer athlete comes out and says, "No, I don't use steroids," but you look like, my God, you look like that maybe you have. If you see even when Jinder Mahal come back to WWE a year ago, if you look at his body then and you look at his body now, I mean there's a clear difference. And I'm sure that they went on. Triple H went on to say that that people ought to be clean as Jinder Mahal is clean, and that Jinder Mahal works hard and does his due diligence to be at the top of his per se, and just paraphrasing, at the top of his game. So I think the WWE is going to push Jinder Mahal. I think the WWE, because they are wanting to go into the Indian market, money talks, and if I had Jinder Mahal, sure, I would want to push him also, but also I would want to be damn sure that he's not using steroids, because it will come back to bite the WWE in the ass if he is found out that he is. Okay, my thoughts, and getting a little bit from the WWE, a little bit from what thoughts on Impact Wrestling. Admit the reason why I tuned into Impact Wrestling this last week was not necessarily to look at the wrestling, but I tuned in because one of my favorite wrestling personalities, Bruce Pritchard and Dutch Mantel, is currently working for Impact Wrestling. And I don't know exactly their role, but they're on-air TV personalities. I think that those two guys do all that they can to enhance the talent on that show. And that's the truth. Uh, I've watched some of the interviews that Bruce Pritchard has given, and he has done, and his interviews with the talent in the ring. And he is very good at what he does in bringing out that talent, and they do need that voice. They do need that person to bring out their personalities to get the audience that they want to watch that show. Now, the audience that's there is still in the Impact Zone. They're in Orlando, Florida, and in Orlando, Florida, which all you have to do is buy a ticket to Disneyland to be able to go to the show. And so it's not your per se fans of what, like the WWE gets, no house shows, and so they're totally dependent again upon the TV revenue and what they have with their overseas in the UK, and which look forward to some of their partnerships that they have over in the UK with the World of Sport Wrestling, and look forward to some of their 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 talent exchanges, and some of that they're going to be bringing in from Noah over in Japan, and from AAA down in Mexico. Look forward to that. Saying all of that, and there has been some decent matches that have been in the ring. I mean, they do have some personalities there. Lashley, of course. EC3, of course. Ethan Carter the third. I loved one thing I did like about Impact Wrestling is his little show that he had, that he said the dummy thing, and that was a great little gimmick that he had there going on. Now, as far as you may have all of this talent, you may have all this independent talent that is coming in, but again, there's way too much talking that is going on in Impact Wrestling with the things with Karen Jarrett and those different ones wanting to be TV personalities. I think that the only
person that we really need is we need Dutch Mantel and we need Bruce Pritchard, and that's the only two that we need. Um, I do recommend that everybody go and check out Bruce Pritchard's. Follow him on Twitter, and follow him. Love to Know, his show on MLBW Network, Something to Wrestle With. It's a great show. Big fan. Him and Conrad Thompson. But this is, I believe, those two gentlemen working is about the only ones that they need. I would prefer to see the Jarretts behind the curtain, behind the glass, not per se in out there in the ring. Too much talking. They do have a lot of wrestling. The X Division seems to be entertaining. I still don't like the six-sided ring. Even they say it differentiates, it makes them different. The bumps on the six-sided ring is harder than the bumps in a regular ring. But the thing about Impact Wrestling that let me get to another positive coming. Another thing that I'm intrigued about. I'm intrigued about Scott Steiner coming back. My thoughts is really just to tune in to see what he says, if he's going to be let loose on his promos, because there's no telling what he'll say. I am waiting for him to call somebody a fat bastard, and Scott Steiner. I hope he's not hurt. I hope he's doing well. He was a good in-ring performer. He was great with his brother Rick Steiner as a tag team performer, and he was good towards the end before he got hurt in the WCW. He was hurt. Can't judge him what he did in the WWE with Triple H. He was hurt. Really can't judge him there. His performance there, but I hope he's back. That he's not hurt anymore, and that he adds some value to the product. Okay, my one thing about Impact Wrestling, which I do not like, I cannot stand the announce team. They have this storyline going on, Team Borash, team versus Team Matthews. And the announce team, excluding Pope does a good job. Excluding Pope, those two guys are so annoying that it takes away from what's going on in the ring. We have these legendary guys in Dutch Mantel, and we have Bruce Pritchard and coming and trying to enhance this talent. We have all this going on, and taking away from everything is the announce team. It's not the announce team's job. I'm a traditionalist. It's not the announce team's job to be in a feud with one another. It's the announce team's job to try to get over the talent. It's not the announce team's job to get themselves over. It's the announce team's job to get the talent over. I love the dynamic of a heel talent. I love of a heel commentator, color analyst. I think that's entertaining. And Dutch Mantel was one of the best at that in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. If anybody needs to check out Smoky Mountain Wrestling on YouTube, it's a really underrated wrestling promotion, and Jim Cornette really did a good job in that promotion. But when you have all of this loud commotion going on, it makes the person watching it not want to tune in into the product. It takes away from the product. And they need to put these people in different roles. And my idea is simply this, is to bring in an announcer with Pope to do the commentary. Have Matthews, which I think that he would be good at, he would be a heel manager, which he's already made himself into a heel announcer. I think he has the gift to talk, and he would be a good heel manager of a faction or of a team or whatever. And Jeremy Borash needs to stick to being the in ring, being the ring announcer to let everybody know who's coming down in the matches. But they need an announcer to bring back some legitimacy, to bring back to where people want to tune in, because I can't I can't hardly stand listening to these guys, that they are so annoying and they take away from the in-ring product that is going on in the ring. That's my thoughts on Impact Wrestling. Yes, I'm probably going to try to tune in to see what Scott Steiner says, but it's sad that they have such a misdirection on this whole dynamic of the announce team going on in their company right now. So, well, folks, that is the first episode of the Wrestling Maniacs Wrestling Review. I hope that each of you have enjoyed this podcast. You can check me out on my website, Guru Mike, mygurumike.org, or you can email me at therealguruofwrestling@gmail.com. I'm going to have a Patreon. There's some things that I would like to start doing and trying to get this podcast a little bit more professional. I wanted to do a couple of different programs each week. I would love to get to the point where I could have a program called In the Ring, which sit down and interview some legends in the ring about Pacific matches, or about their heritage, not about the current wrestling product, but about some of the matches that they had. I like to do also a podcast over some of the old wrestling that product that's out there. Maybe some pay-per-views, and leading up to some pay-per-views. Maybe we can do that with WCW, or we could do that with the WWE in the 80s and with the 90s. So tune in, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Give me a like. Give me some comments. Give me some feedback. Help me get some thought, some followers on this thing. I should have T-shirts available soon. And be a variety of T-shirts. Maybe we can have a comedy show, which I would love to do later on, which I think it's hilarious, with the old UWWF that personalities that I have created. And stay tuned in. You can contact me again on Twitter at RealGuruWrestle. And we will see you next time. Have a blast. Enjoy wrestling. Enjoy the wrestling product. And peace.